Sales isn't just for salespeople. If you want a girlfriend, a new job, an investor, or a customer, you're already in sales. I used sales to land my first job at 15, to water damage restoration job, best-selling book within the restoration industry, software to restoration contractors, coaching, as well as $20+ million of equity from my company. Sales isn't sleazy. It's a very much needed service, and it helps people go through the process of making decisions. And once you get really good at it, it feels unfair. It almost feels like it should be illegal. In this video, I'm gonna unpack the 4 steps I use to sell anything to anyone. Let's dive in. Sales isn't pressure, it's actually clarity. The better I got at helping people see their problem and make those decisions, the better it actually was for them. And in the process, you make a ton of money and you change a lot of lives. This is how I learned to sell so much that it felt illegal, and it's a simple 4-step framework. Most people think that sales is all about the solution or telling people what they need. And what they end up doing is they end up regurgitating all this information over the prospect, and the prospect doesn't end up making a decision. I made that mistake many times. So step 1 of the 4-step process is simply building a list. And by building a list, I mean having a list of ideal prospects that you could sell to. Now here's the catch. Most people fall on the spectrum of building no list, or they build a massive list that they drown in. And here's the thing. If you don't have a list of prospects, you're gonna just randomly go all over the place and you're not gonna be able to sell anything to anyone. And if you have way too many prospects on the list, you're actually gonna be drowning in prospects. So recently, when I raised $20 million for my software company, Albiware, every single time I went through a fundraise process, I created a list of 12 to 15 potential venture capitalists that were perfect fits and actually invested in B2B software. And that list was the people that I actually talked to and ran through a process to get them to actually invest. Now with technology and AI, list building has gotten a heck of a lot easier. Right now I use tools like Octoparse, Clay, and simply ChatGPT to create a list, right? So Clay is an awesome AI-powered tool that you could literally go into it and it could spit out a list of any type of business that you're potentially selling to. And then afterwards, bonus points, you could lead score those. So you could ask AI, hey, is this person a good fit or not? On my investment journey, when I was looking for investors in my B2B software startup, I was looking specifically for investment funds that have invested in software companies within niche verticals before. So that was the very specific criteria there. And the ultimate test that you could do to make sure your list is perfect is the $1,000 test. So if you had $1,000 to bet on every single prospect on your specific list of them converting or not, which ones would you actually bet that $1,000 on? And you will very quickly find that some of them are loosey-goosey and you don't feel like they're a strong fit. So don't waste your time trying to sell to them anyway. Focus your time, because it's your most precious resource, on those 50 to 150 people that are most likely to buy from you. So the second step in the 4-step process is building rapport. Here's the deal. Nobody will ever buy from you unless they actually like you and they trust you. And in fact, Dale Carnegie always says that people buy from people they like. And the magical part is you could actually engineer this thing called rapport, which is basically likability and trust. The main way to do that is to stop talking about yourself and actually connect and talk with the prospect. And I teach this thing called the Rapport Quadrant, which has 4 different areas to it. And you could essentially make any single prospect open up if you make them talk about these 4 categories. First one is work. Think about American society. The number one thing everybody asks is, so what do you do for work, right? Or so what do you do, right? Everybody's identities are so tied to what they do for work that they will talk on and on and on about that. The second one is hobbies. So what do you do in your free time, right? People love to jet ski, they love mountain climbing, and so on and so forth. The third one is travel. Where do you like to travel? And then the fourth one is family and loved ones. And the key to rapport is connecting and establishing common grounds over those things. Again, the key is to ask questions. Ask 3 to 5 questions in those different quadrants and get to that point of common grounds before you move on to the next step. Which brings me to step number 3, which is discovery. Again, most people think sales is just regurgitating about your product and service, but the reality is, if you don't properly discover what's important to your prospect, you're just vomiting all over all these facts that they don't really care about. And then they get turned off and walk away and you don't get a sale. After you've established that common ground, you use discovery like a dance and you start kind of edging towards asking questions related to particular pain points that they may have that your product could potentially solve. So I had a sales development representative that actually lined up this 6-figure sale for our company, Albiware. And I pulled up HubSpot and I actually looked through all of his interactions, and man, was it freaking world class. So this guy was pounding on this prospect's door for like 12 to 18 months nonstop, just delivering value and establishing rapport and doing discovery and delivering value over and over and over again. When I was reading through the notes, it was things like, hey, so where are you from? Denver. Oh man, what do you like? Well, he liked the sports team. Oh, how's that sports team doing? Really, really good. So they were bonding over these things. And then, hey, I'm actually going to go to Denver next week and go skiing. Do you recommend any skiing resorts? Oh man, I love skiing. And they'd go back and forth. It was like super awesome. And then he would kind of inch towards discovery. Hey, I see you run a restoration company. Do you have any pain points with the software that you're using, Restoration Manager? And the prospect was like, oh no, we're actually totally good right now, and slammed the door in his face. So then he kept prancing around a rapport. And then 2 to 3 months later, kept building the relationship, and then started asking more questions and realized that he had a frustration with double data entry moving back and forth. And it was just kind of this dance, and it doesn't have to be 6 to 9 months. It could be as quick as, a 5-minute conversation, but you're inching in and in and in a little bit more, using the rapport as leverage to kind of cool the prospect off while you're asking these questions to start finding different pain points that the prospect has. Then what you do is you actually stretch the pain during discovery by asking follow-up questions on how painful that is. So when I was reading through Jack, again, he was asking, so you have problems with double data entry. How many hours a week is that actually costing you in your business? And then the prospect came back and be like, oh man, it's so painful. 50 hours per week are wasted at that. Then he'd go back in and ask another question and be like, how much does that average hour per week cost you? And then the prospect responded back, well, it costs $100 per week. Now that pain is getting stretched, and by you asking those questions, the prospect's now becoming self-aware of the problem that the prospect's having. So here's the key point here before we go into step number 4. If they're talking, you're learning. And if you pitch too soon, you're going to turn them off, and they're going to tell you to F off, and they're going to leave. So make sure you keep this dance of rapport and discovery and keep going until the moment's perfectly right for step number 4, which is actually pitching the solution. Now here's the deal. When you pitch, you don't pitch. You use their words. You give it to them in their language. What if there was a better way for you to solve this? Would you be open to hearing more about it? Then get the prospect to come back, and then you pitch. So the key is to keep it simple. Your offer should mirror their words. You don't need to pull off any used car salesman or any fake urgency or any of the scarcity. You're just sitting there and pitching them that solution. Now, if they say no, very simple. You go back into discovery mode. You ask why. And then you can go back to rapport, build more rapport, ask more why, and then go in with another pitch. Notice, it's a dance. You're going back and forth with the prospect. And the key is for you to not go in and tick the prospect off to where they walk the other way, and for you to actually be consultative and genuinely there to show the prospect that you like them, that you have common ground with them, that you hear their pains, and that you have a solution that they can't live without. And if that prospect does not take that product on, it's actually your fault because you didn't follow this process. And here's the deal. If they say no, it's just a perpetual sales loop that just keeps going on and on. And instead of no, all you have to tell yourself in the back of your head is they didn't tell you no. They actually told you not now. You see, we have this fundamental philosophy at Albi, my software company, that it's not a matter of if a restoration contractor is going to buy Albi software. It's just a matter of when, right? So if they tell us no, or they tell us to F off or slam the door in our faces right now, that's totally fine. We've got the thing that's going to supercharge their business, help them do more work and get paid faster and solve all these problems. They just haven't seen it at this specific moment because we haven't been good enough to do discovery, build rapport, and actually pitch the solution. And we're just going to go back into the loop and keep going back and keep talking to every single restoration contractor until at one point, every restoration contractor will be aware and probably be using Albi because it is the best solution for every single restoration contractor, and they can't run their business without it. So here's the deal. The top closers and the top salespeople aren't pushy. They're clear. And they're there to genuinely help the prospect make a decision that's good for the prospect. And sales is just establishing common grounds with prospects, identifying what their pain points are, and proposing solutions to those pain points to make the prospect's life a lot easier and make the decision a lot better for them. And if you think that you're bothering people, you're always going to undersell. So just, if you find yourself into that mindset shift, just imagine you have the cure to cancer and the prospect is the one with cancer. If this helped reframe sales for you, I have 3 asks for you. Number 1, comment below your key takeaway, as that is the feed to this video. Number 2, subscribe to my channel, and I will be putting out more content like this every other week. And if you want to learn more about the only skill you need to build $1 million business, click the link below, and I'll see you on the other side.